please do cat scratch. I actually used to play this game with my sisters all the time when we were younger, and most of the time it actually worked. So cat scratch is a paranormal game which basically you're supposed to summon some sort of spirit to scratch you along your back. To play the game you need at least 2 people, so one person sits crisscross applesauce and the other person lays their head in that person's lap. The person who's sitting up then starts rubbing the other person's temples and telling them one of the cat scratch stories. There are a few different variations of stories that go along with this game, but I'll tell you the most popular one. So the story goes like, there was once an old lady who owned a cat. The cat was very nice. It would meow and purr. One day the cat got hit by a car and died. Cat scratch, cat scratch, cat scratch. The old lady got a new cat. This cat was very mean. It hissed and clawed. Cat scratch, cat scratch, cat scratch. I'm running out of time, but follow for part 2.
This girl right here was babysitting and found a weird CD that said, "Do you want to see a ghost?" and took it home. What happened next when she put the CD in was terrifying. I'm gonna roll the clip right now.
Scariest Things Police Have Seen, Part 46. This was sent to me by a nephew of a trucker who had an encounter with a police officer. This trucker was driving on Highway 152 in California. He got pulled over by a highway patrol officer. It was odd though, because the police vehicle looked like an older 80s model unit. The officer gave him a ticket and left. Later on, the trucker went to the courthouse to fight the ticket. The judge looked at the ticket, got up and asked, "Do you think this is a joke?" The trucker said, "Why?" The judge told him that the officer's name and ID number used on the ticket belonged to an officer that had died on that freeway almost 40 years earlier.
I literally want to cry. So if you didn't know, I have a sister and her name's Ashley, and we both have boyfriends. And every night we both fall asleep on the phone with our boyfriends. So one day we're all hanging out and we're like just talking. And my sister's boyfriend looks at me and he's like, "You need to stop going into your sister's room in the middle of the night." And I look at him and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't have a reason to go into her room. Like I don't go into her room, especially in the middle of the night." Then my boyfriend hops in the conversation and he's like, No. He's like, "No, I hear Ashley go into Kayla's room every night and stare at her." So me and my sister both look at each other and we're like, "We don't go into each other's rooms, do we?" And we agreed that we do not. And they said this has been going on for months. So for months, somebody or something has been going into me and my sister's room for about 15 minutes every night and watching us sleep. But it only gets worse.
This is why you always say yes to tandoori chicken. In 2012, a high school tutor and her student stayed up so late one night studying that by the time they were done, the buses had stopped running. Without another way home, the student asked if he could stay the night at her place. Reluctantly, she agreed. When they got back to the apartment, she fell asleep on her bed and he fell asleep on a blanket next to her bed on the ground. A few hours later, she wakes up to the boy standing awkwardly in the middle of the room with a very strange look on his face. She asks him, "What's wrong?" He looks at her and says, "I'm really hungry. Let's go get some tandoori chicken." Confused, she says, "It's 2 a.m. Just get a snack in the cupboard." And he grabs her by the arm and he says, "No, we are getting tandoori chicken right now." And he yanks her from the bed. Feeling totally caught off guard by this whole situation, she goes into the hall with the boy, and as soon as the door shuts behind them, she can tell that he is terrified. He looks at her and just says, "I'm not actually hungry. When I woke up, there was someone under your bed."
Alright, let's talk about Smile Dog. Smile Dog is apparently a cursed image that has been going around the internet for quite some time now. This dog apparently takes the form of a Siberian husky, smiling a little too wide. It's also said if you don't spread this dog's image over the internet after seeing it, you will die. Some people have reported after not sharing the photo, the Siberian Husky shapeshifts into their room as this demon dog here. This dog will sadistically torture you until you share the image, and if you don't, he will kill you. Some even say they'll see Smile Dog in the bushes watching them as they're walking home or walking to their car. So, what do you guys think about Smile Dog and his cursed image?
A boy near the border of Syria and Israel was born with a long red birthmark on his head, and around the age of 3, the boy started to claim that he was murdered in his past life. This doctor and a German therapist started to follow the boy closely, and the little boy told them the story of how he was struck and killed with an axe. Under the evaluation of the doctor and therapist, the boy took them and the town elders to the place where he thought his previous body was buried. And sure enough, after hours of digging, they pulled up a skeleton from the dirt. The skull had an obvious blow to the head, which matched up perfectly to the birthmark the boy was born with. He was also able to give the name of his killer, who at first denied the claims, but later admitted his guilt after the boy's former body and murder weapon were found.
If you or your family have one of these bumper stickers in your car right now, I suggest you go and rip it off. Now, if you don't already know, these beloved stickers are a red flag to pedophiles to know exactly who's in your family. In a case not too long ago, a mother was driving home from her soccer game with her 6-year-old daughter. They'd stopped in a service station to pour petrol, and as they did, a car quietly pulled in behind them. The man could quickly see that there was just a young mother and her daughter, and from the back of the van, she could tell there was no husband, 2 other kids and a dog. The cameras then catch her car leaving and heading out onto the road, followed quickly by the man in the car. The very next night, a family member found the house wide open. The family dog was laying dead in the hallway. It had been given some meat with poison in it. The mother was suddenly woken, but she had been asleep for more than 16 hours. Later discovered she was injected with the drug to put her to sleep, and her oldest daughter was missing, along with her 4 and 6-year-old daughters too. It's believed they were taken for human trafficking, so beware and remove those stickers.
If you're ever walking and hear a sound behind you, look up, for it might be the gasha dokuru. The gasha dokuru are skeleton giants who walk around in the middle of the night. If they see a human, they will quietly walk up behind them, bite off their head, and drink their spraying blood. Soldiers that die on the field and people that die of starvation usually do not have their final rites read. In Japanese culture, that means that their soul cannot pass on and they're reborn as a hungry ghost. When the bones of hundreds of those souls gather together, they become the skeleton monster known as gasha dokuru. If you're a fan of monsters, scary stories, and lore, please support this channel. Thank you guys.
Mr. Fritz is a ventriloquist doll that was caught moving one night. So this doll is from the 1940s. He was always haunted and couldn't find a home. He was given to Michael Diamond, who owns a bunch of weird stuff in his home. He was kept in this case, but for a couple weeks, Michael noticed the door kept opening in the middle of the night. Michael decides to set up a GoPro, and this is what he sees. Oh wait, there's more. He was also caught moving his eyes and mouth. Watch his mouth. But the real question is, do you guys think it's real or fake?
Every child fears what's under their bed. If they don't, they fear what's in their closet or under their desk. Scientists know that children are way more perceptive. They see things adults just don't. They aren't yet tethered into accepting what society wants them to accept. They see what's truly there. If you were to borrow a child's eyes for a night, you would go insane. To be able to see what you only dimly remember, burrowing into your blanket in train pajamas, praying to a god that you barely comprehend that it wouldn't see you back. This would drive an adult insane because they forget the rules. Number 1, cover yourself. If you can't see it, it can't see you. Number 2, don't make a whimper. Every noise can lead to your destruction. Don't move. It attracts their attention. Number 4, only light can make it go away. Us teens are caught in the middle. We don't see what's there, but we feel it. And we forget the rules. Why do you think there's so many insomniacs scrolling through TikTok right now? It's because subconsciously they think the light from their device can keep them away. It's not. Now look behind you with a child's eyes and try not.
Phone numbers you should never call, part 7. So this one is the phone number. When you call that number, you can hear several things. You can hear a creepy recording of a man counting and repeating the numbers 1, 3, and 7, following by a sound of someone calling out your name. And then they tell you what you are doing during the call. They said that they are following your every move. Do you think it's real or just a legend?